guys, welcome back to my channel. Long time no see for some of y'all. We are back with the entire plot series, but today I'm going to be telling you the entire plot of the Summer I Turned Pretty universe, so y'all don't have to read almost 900 pages to learn that Conrad is the best, that you should be Team Conrad. So let's jump into it because this is going to be a wild ride. There's a lot of time jumps, so be patient with me and let's have fun. And as always, if you enjoy this video, please hit the little like button. It really does help me out. And if you want to see more content from me, make sure that you're subscribed and leave a comment down below letting me know what series to do next. I have a few ideas that we'll talk about at the end of this video. So obviously today we are only going to be focusing on the first book, which is The Summer I Turned Pretty. This book really does have a lot of time jumps that I think the TV show handled better, TBH, but that's okay. We're still going to talk about it. So this book actually does something really interesting at the beginning. It starts off the book by using the last two paragraphs of this book, which I'm really not mad at because it doesn't reveal any names, but a choice. It is a choice for sure. But essentially these two paragraphs are talking about how our girl Belly is so excited and so shook that this boy has come to visit her. He has driven like 2 hours to come visit her. She goes up to the car. He goes, "Do you still want to do this?" And she says, "Yes," thinking to herself, everything that happened this summer has led up to this one moment. And then we hop into chapter 1, present day, and we are in the car with Belly. She is being a passenger princess while her older brother Steven is driving. Belly's getting a little restless because our boy Steven is slow. He is a slow driver and is essentially driving like a grandma. And so she's like, you know what, I'm about to blare some music because I am also about to fall asleep. She turns on the radio and the first song that comes on is Free Fallin' by Tom Petty. And she's like, oh my gosh, this is my jam. I'm about to sing my little heart out. And that's what she does. Steven is over here being like, my ears, this is horrendous. Can we please stop? In fact, he says, I would rather drive this car into the ocean than to hear you sing anymore. And so she actually stops. I don't think I would stop. I think I would keep going, but she does stop. And so there's a little bit of silence that's passing through them. And then all of a sudden, Steven looks at her and he goes, are you thinking about Conrad right now? This is Conrad, by the way. Belly immediately snaps at Steven and goes, no, which wakes up their mother, Laurel, who leans up and goes, do you still like Conrad? Because last summer it looked like you liked Jeremiah, his brother. In fact, she says, it looks like something was going on between you two. To which Steven is like, wait, what? What on earth happened between you and Jeremiah? Belly is blushing up a storm. She is blushing red as a tomato, if you will. And she responds saying, just because two people are friends doesn't mean that they're into one another. Steven, being the brother that he is, doesn't understand that she wants them to drop this conversation. So he eggs it on a little bit going, what happened between you and Jeremiah? We can't just bring up this topic and not discuss it. Like, what happened? And like, honestly valid, Steven, but before Belly can even respond, the book sends us into a slurry of background knowledge. So here's the background for y'all. Conrad and Jeremiah, they are brothers and they are Beck's sons. Beck is a nickname for Susanna because her maiden name was Beck. Laurel, which again is Belly and Steven's mom, is the only one who's ever called Susanna Beck. And so obviously her children do the same exact thing. Laurel and Susanna have known each other since they were 9 and they actually refer to each other as blood sisters. And when Belly was born, Susanna said that Belly is destined to marry one of her sons. A lot of pressure, if you ask me, a lot of pressure. In fact, Beck goes as far as saying that this is fate, that Laurel had a girl when she had 2 boys. Again, a lot of pressure. Belly's mom responds to that saying that is perfect as long as Belly gets to live her life and has a few more loves before she settles down. And the actual term that Laurel used was lovers, but just like Belly, I don't like that word, so we are going to use loves. Loves. Belly and her family have been going to Susanna's beach house for as long as Belly can remember. There's never been a summer where they haven't gone, and their house is at Cousins Beach. I'm on theme today, ladies and gents. The house is essentially her world. It's what she's dreaming of during the winter, what she just can't wait to get back with, and it just consists of so many things that she absolutely loves. We also learn that Belly really doesn't know the boys outside of the beach house, and she's completely jealous of the people that get to know winter Jeremiah, winter Conrad, when all she gets is summer. For Belly, it was like winter didn't count. Summer is what mattered. Her whole life was measured in summers. And Belly felt like she didn't start living her life until it was June and she was at the beach house. She almost felt like she was frozen in time throughout the rest of the year. Conrad is the oldest brother and he's older by 1.5 years, and they consider him to be a dark soul. He is very unavailable, and he also has a smirky mouth that Belly just can't stop thinking about. So let's just say that Belly has it bad for our boy Conrad. She has loved this boy her whole life. Jeremiah, or Jer, on the other hand, is her friend. This is what she has always referred to him as. Golden retriever vibes from him. In fact, in the book, he actually has very floppy blonde hair, and so a lot of people actually refer to him as a golden retriever. Belly also notes that Jeremiah is probably more popular than Conrad at school, but Conrad is the hotshot football player that also plays guitar. So he's very well loved in school as well. Enough of the background for now. Let's get back in the car. Stephen finally pulls up at the summer house. Boys flock to Stephen. In fact, they don't even see that Belly is there at first. But Conrad quickly glances at Belly, and it's a look that he's never given her before. And then Jeremiah legitimately does a double take at Belly. As the book puts it, it is as if Jeremiah is seeing her for the first time. Conrad is the first one to hug Belly. He leans in, whispers in her ear, "I liked you better with glasses." To which Belly goes, "Too bad, too bad." Conrad then starts like kind of booping her on her nose, and he points out that she already has some new freckles coming in. But Jeremiah interrupts this moment by lifting Belly into the air, saying, "Our little belly button has grown up. There's something different about you this year." Belly makes her way into the house, and she goes to her room, which was actually Susanna's room growing up. While Belly is in her room, she walks over to the bed, and she notices that there's a stuffed polar bear on her bed that she named Junior Mint, and it is now time for a flashback. We are going to when Belly was 12 years old. And keep this flashback in mind because this is the first time Belly has ever had her heart broken. Jeremiah and Stephen were out for the night, and so Conrad goes up to Belly and he says, "Hey, do you want to go to the boardwalk?" Belly is obviously over the moon that Conrad asked her this, and in the car ride there, Susanna keeps looking at Belly through the mirror and just like making looks and smirking at her and smiling, because remember, she really wants Belly to end up with one of her sons. So even at 12 years old, Susanna was like, hint, hint, wink, wink to Belly over her boys. I bought Belly a caramel apple, but he didn't get anything to eat. He actually just got a soda, and Belly notices that he seems really nervous for some reason. But the fact that he's so nervous is actually calming Belly's nerves. They were walking side by side on the boardwalk. Belly made sure that her arm was dangling by her side, so if he wanted to grab her hand, he could, but he doesn't. When she finished her caramel apple, he looks at her and says, "Hey, we should do a game of ring toss." And as soon as she looks over to the booth, a light bulb goes off in Belly's head because she notices that there is a girl around Conrad's age working this booth. It's in this moment that Belly realizes he didn't ask her to go to the boardwalk because he wanted to hang out with her. He asked her so that he could have an excuse to go see this girl. Belly looks at Conrad and she goes, "Do you know her?" Conrad looks at her very confused and is like, "Huh? No, I don't." "Well, do you want to?" And she doesn't even give him a second to respond before she is grabbing his sleeve and pulling him over to the ring toss booth. As soon as she introduces the two of them, she looks at Conrad and she says, "I'm gonna go on the Ferris wheel. Can you please try and win me a prize?" Eventually learned that this girl's name was Angie, and Conrad ended up winning Belly a stuffed polar bear. Conrad told Belly that the reason he picked out this one was because Angie told him it was the best prize he could end up getting. Belly looks at him and says, "Well, I would have preferred the giraffe." But she ends up keeping the polar bear at the beach house, and she names it Junior Mint, and it's still on that bed today. Now let's zoom back to present day. Belly is making her way downstairs where Jeremiah announces to everyone that it's time for the annual Belly flop. Before Belly can even get away, Stephen and Conrad start circling her, and the three boys lift her up and start bringing her to the pool. When they make it to the pool, they swing her a few times and throw her in, thus creating the belly flop. When Belly makes it back to the surface, she looks at Conrad and she goes, "I think you guys twisted my ankle, please help." Conrad actually believes her. He squats down, he gives her a hand, and she takes this opportunity to yank him into the pool with her. And low-key, guys, I'm not gonna lie, they have a little bit of a moment. He draws her in close for a little bit and then they separate, but the chemistry is there. It is palpable. It's there. It's there. Next chapter is fairly short and there's not too much information that comes out of it. Susanna does finally come downstairs to say hi to everyone. She tells them, "I'm so sorry that I missed y'all when you first came in. I was taking a nap." Belly notes that Susanna is looking quite thin. Susanna flocks to Belly, telling her, "You look so pretty. This is going to be a summer that you never forget." And genuinely, that is all the important information in that chapter, so let's go to the next chapter. First dinner at Cousin's Beach is always the same. But normally all the kids will have juice while the adults have adult beverages. But since this is a very special summer, Laurel and Susanna decide to let the kids have a little bit. just a little bit with their dinner. Very mindful of them. Susanna announces to everyone this is a very special occasion, so no one's gonna be drinking juice. It's the first day of summer. Belly notes that it's really not the first day of summer for them because they've actually been at the beach house for a while before Belly's family even showed up. Also, I just wanna make another note, there are no dads here. So their dad's not here, he's not here. It's just Susanna and Laurel who are the parents at the moment. And when Susanna is done making her announcement, Conrad grabs his glass and he downs his drink in no time at all. This dinner honestly has a little bit of an awkward tone to it for some reason, which is very bizarre since they've known each other their whole lives. We learn that Conrad, who as I mentioned earlier is a hotshot at football, has quit the football team. He's quit. Everyone's asking him about it because football was literally his life. He shrugs saying, just got boring. Jeremiah basically cuts him off saying, no, Conrad just got boring. Jeremiah low-key starts showing off for Belly and it's really awkward. Like it gave me secondhand embarrassment, so I'm not gonna put y'all through that. But just know I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed for this boy and for everyone at the table. Oh my goodness, guys, and guess what? We have another flashback, but this time, Belly is 10 years old. The boys have always been an inseparable unit with Conrad as their leader. Steven is like second in command, and then they refer to Jeremiah as the jester. But this specific summer, when Belly is 10, the boys decide that they want to sleep outside. Belly obviously is feeling very left out because she's not a part of this unit. She's not as close to them and she is a little bit younger. Belly looks at Jer and asks if she could come hang out with them and like stay outside with them. And her brother, Steven, interrupts saying it's guys only. And Steven doesn't stop at that. He actually looks at the guys and says, oh, watch out now. Belly is about to cry. In fact, Steven and Jeremiah start doing a dance around the house singing, Belly's gonna cry, Belly's gonna cry, Belly's gonna cry. And they are doing this until Conrad sternly looks at them saying, leave her alone, you guys are being immature. When the boys are finally leaving the house, Jeremiah does a little dance for Belly to try and lighten the mood. All the boys are leaving. Conrad looks over his shoulder and says, good night, Belly. And this is the night that Belly knew she was in love with Conrad. End of flashback, back to present day. Belly's never really paid attention to the fact that Susanna's family has a lot more money than her family does. The beach house that they stay at isn't super fancy, it's comfortable, it's lived in. But this house is humongous. Literally everyone has their own room. After dinner, everyone has gone upstairs except for Belly and Conrad. Conrad is actually playing the guitar right now. And Belly nonchalantly looks at him and goes, I heard you had a girlfriend. Conrad stops strumming his guitar for a second, looks and goes, Jer's got a big mouth. Belly pushes on a little more going, what's she like? We broke up. Belly laughs, replying with, your mom's right, you're such a heartbreaker. This is how I imagined that she said these things. Belly doesn't get the hint. She can't read a room. So she goes, what was her name? What does it matter? He pauses, no one's speaking for a little bit, and then all of a sudden he lightens up and he goes, Aubrey. She said I changed. Belly looks at him, raises her eyebrows, and she goes, and did you? To which Conrad goes, everyone does. You did. How did I change? Conrad picks his guitar back up, looks at Belly, and goes, like I said, everyone changes. Now have the quickest little bout of background knowledge. We learn that Conrad started playing his guitar in middle school. One day he's listening to Pearl Jam. He hands one of his headphones to Belly and goes, isn't this just amazing? And after that summer, Belly went to the music store to find any kind of sheet music by Pearl Jam so that just in case next summer, if Conrad wanted to play music, she could play along with him. Him on his guitar, her on her piano. Basically so they could be in like a little band. But mind you, the summer house didn't have a piano. Later that night, we learn that when Belly can't sleep, she decides to go down to the pool and just swim some laps until she's really, really tired. And when she was younger, Susanna would actually come down and join her and they wouldn't speak. They would just swim doing laps together and not say a word. And this would be the only time that Belly would see Susanna without her wig on. Because we learn during this time that Susanna actually had to go through some chemo treatments. Anywho though, Belly is in the pool, she's doing her thing, not paying attention to anyone around her, and then she bumps into something. So she looks up and what does she bump into? She bumped into Conrad's leg. Conrad has appeared out of nowhere. You might be asking yourself, what is Conrad doing right now? I don't understand. He is doing an activity outside that I don't think I can talk about without this video getting... But he came outside to do this so it wouldn't stink up the house and so that his mom wouldn't know this is what he's doing. Belly, who's still in the pool, looks at him and she's like, what on earth are you doing down here? Conrad just responds saying he couldn't sleep, and Belly immediately is like, this is a lie. You literally only came out here so you wouldn't stink up the house. Instead of saying that, which is what she was thinking, she instead says, how did you know I was out here? Conrad looks at her and goes, Belly, you always swim at night. Okay, then answer my first question. Conrad tells Belly that he's picked up this habit about a year ago. Belly looks at him and says, well, you shouldn't do it. You should quit. This is actually one of my favorite lines in the TV show, because Conrad looks at Belly, stares into her soul, and says, what will you give me if I do? You cannot tell me that's a bad line. That's so good. And y'all, there is a tension in the air. There is a tension. There's a tension. I'm not being dramatic. There's actually a tension. And Belly like takes a little bit because she can feel this tension. She's like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? And then she decides to just say nothing. You should quit for yourself. Conrad tells her goodnight and he heads inside. Now, this scene is in the TV show. In the first season, it's almost the exact same scene, except what Conrad is doing in the scene is different. In the book, what he's doing comes in a carton or a pack. What he's doing in the show is green like grass. Catch my drift. The next day, Laurel asks Belly, have you talked to your father yet? Belly looks at her mom and says, no, did you make Steven do this? Laurel tells her no, but Steven's going away with him for a few weeks on a college tour and you're not gonna see him, so you should probably call your dad. Laurel then hands the phone to Belly and she leaves the room to give Belly her privacy. But Belly actually doesn't use this time to call her dad. She believes that her dad should call her first, and anywho, dads don't belong in the summer house, so she's not gonna call him in the summer house. Of course, we can't get too far into the book without another flashback, so let's go back in time to age 9 for Belly. Everyone in this flashback is playing cards, and Jeremiah asks Laurel, why do you call my mom Beck? Her name is Susanna. Laurel explains it's because that's your mom's middle name now, but it used to be her maiden name before she was married. Jer looks at Laurel and says, why did she have to change her name? Laurel looks at Jer and says, she didn't have to, she wanted to. I didn't change my name, and women shouldn't have to if they don't want to. Why should we change anything for a man? Susanna looks at Laurel and tells her, be quiet. Be quiet. Susanna also changes the conversation saying, Laurel, your girl is you all over again. To which Laurel shakes her head saying, no, she's her father's daughter. And they share a very weird look with one another. And this is a look that Belly still to this day does not understand. But that's the end of the flashback. We're not going any more in depth on that for now. But if you thought we were getting back to present day, you're wrong. We have background knowledge. We learn that Mr. Fisher would pop in and out of the summer home, but he would never stay the whole time. Again, the summer home is not for dads. He was a banker and getting time off of work was almost impossible for him. Susanna, Mr. Fisher, and Laurel actually all went to college together, and that is where Mr. Fisher and Susanna met. Susanna also tried to always get Belly and Steven to call Mr. Fisher by his first name, but they just said that it didn't feel right, like he is Mr. Fisher. Belly thinks to herself that her parents never bickered with one another, but she also never saw her parents smile at one another growing up. Every time Mr. Fisher joined them at the summer house, he would give the kids a $20 bill to go get ice cream, and Conrad was in charge of that 20. And let me just tell you something, Mr. Fisher was Conrad's hero. He looked up to his dad, and his dad was his favorite person to ever exist. Ellie says that she felt the same way about her dad until she saw her dad out with one of his PhD students when him and her mom were separated. But keep in mind, Belly doesn't blame her dad for this divorce at all. She blames Laurel, fully blames Laurel, because after the divorce, Laurel did not seem affected at all. She didn't care. She just carried on with life like nothing happened. Belly and Steven lived with Laurel, but they would see their dad on most weekends. That's enough background knowledge for now. We're going to get into the shortest scene of our lives, and then we have another flashback. So let's be happy we're in present day for a hot second. Belly is downstairs. She's eating her breakfast. Her mom pops up and goes, you should really get started on your summer reading for AP Lit. Belly looks at her mom and says, I will get to it eventually. Laurel then changes the subject so drastically, asking Belly, is Conrad on something? Like, on something? Belly is so shook that her mom has asked her this, and she just shakes her head saying, I don't know, ask Steven. Why are you asking me? Laurel responds with, well, I did, but I know that your brother would lie and you wouldn't lie to me. Susanna is worried he quit football. I need to know what's going on. Belly tells her mom to calm down because she has no place to judge Conrad for what he may or may not be doing, which, my goodness, is so harsh. Poor Laurel. Oh my. And if you're thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, why can't Laurel judge Conrad? I don't understand. Well, we're gonna have that answered right now in this flashback when Belly is 13 years old. Laurel and Susanna always thought that they were being super sneaky and that the kids never knew what was going on, but they could smell it. The kids are confused, they're giggling, and Conrad shrugs, looks at them and says, it's for Susanna's treatment, it helps her. Stephen and Belly are shook to their cores that Laurel is participating in this because this is just so out of character for their mother. The kids go downstairs and they see the moms raiding the kitchen looking for something to eat, some type of snack. Susanna sees them and goes, whoops, cat's out of the bag, Laurel, the kids see us, they know what we're up to. And Laurel is just giggling, saying, well, this is why we're doing it, giggling the whole time. And this scene is in the TV show, it's just in a different context. After Susanna and Laurel have had their snack, they think all the kids have gone to the beach, but Jeremiah and Belly have stayed behind, but Susanna and Laurel don't realize this, and so they start having a very serious discussion that Jer should not overhear, but he does. He does. And rightfully so, Jer is not okay, and he's not okay for the rest of the day after overhearing this. And so Jer spends the rest of the night watching TV with Belly. Belly says that from this summer on, she has always felt closer to Jer than her own brother. Keep that in mind. Let me set the scene for you. It is present day. It is raining. It is storming. Jer, Stephen, Belly, they're like, let's go to a movie. We can't go to the beach. Let's go see a movie. They decide to go see a rom-com that is super cheesy, and Stephen literally stands up in the theaters and says, I can't take this anymore. I gotta go. He looks at Jer and he's like, are you coming with me? Jer shrugs and says, you know what? I think I'm just gonna finish this movie out with Belly. I'll meet up with you later. Stephen is so confused that Jer said this, but he rolls with it because he's like, I cannot be in here anymore. I've got to go. See y'all later. The movie is still playing. There's someone in front of Belly that is blocking her view, and Jer notices this, and so he decides to trade places with Belly so that she can see. Halfway through the movie, Jer gets up, he comes back with a drink, but he doesn't bring any straws. But he bought Twizzlers. So he decides to put 2 Twizzlers in there, which is actually something they used to do together growing up. While they're drinking from their Twizzlers, watching a rom-com, Belly thinks to herself, do you think people think we're on a date? Like, does this look like we are 2 people on a date right now? Like, what is happening? And then Jer looks at her and he has this weird look in his eye, and Belly gets this weird pit in her stomach thinking, oh my God, is he gonna kiss me? Is he about to kiss me? False alarm, folks. He doesn't kiss her. And Belly's just shaking her head, shaking it off, being like, what is happening? I like Conrad. Conrad is the one for me. Sure, he is being so moody this summer, but Conrad is the love of my life, not Jeremiah. What is going on? Why is Jeremiah sending weird signals and acting this way? And Belly notes right here, right now, that it's always been Conrad. It's always been Conrad. She never even considered Jeremiah at all. And so that's why this moment was very jarring. Let's talk about a time when Belly was 14 years old, shall we? Let's go back to the age of 14. This is the summer that Belly thought it was a great idea to invite her best friend, Taylor, to the beach house. And I would just like to point out that Belly knew this was a mistake asking her. She knew it, but she asked anyway. Taylor has always been very jealous of the beach house, and Taylor always tells Belly, every time you come back to the beach house, I feel like I have to try and win you over again. You're just so obsessed with it. Belly tells us that Taylor is the pretty one, that every guy is obsessed with Taylor, and Belly's the funny one. She's the one that people want to hang out with if they want a good laugh. This thought is the reason why Belly was like, oh, it could actually be a really good idea for me to bring Taylor because I could get invited to guys' night. And let me just say, Taylor was only supposed to be staying a week, but by the amount of luggage that she brought, you literally would have thought that she was staying for an eternity, that she was going to stay through every single season because she brought so much stuff, which right off the bat aggravated the heck out of Belly. Belly introduces Taylor to all the boys, and after this, Taylor pulls Belly aside and goes, I really like Conrad. Conrad is the one that I'm going to be going for. And sirens are immediately going off in Belly's mind, being like, oh, no, 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 no. And so she quickly tries to be like, what about Jer? I think you and Jer would work better. I think that'd be a better option for you. And Taylor is kind of insulted by this. She literally is like, I like a challenge. I don't want to be with Jer. I'm choosing Conrad. She specifically says that she is going to make Conrad's head spin. As you can tell, Taylor is just like such a great friend. Such a great friend. And let me just add on to the point that Taylor will compliment Belly, but every single time she compliments Belly, it's backhanded. It is a backhanded compliment where you're like, you actually just insulted the girl. So Taylor least favorite character in my opinion so far. Y'all can make your own decisions, but cannot stand book Taylor. Show Taylor is superior. But I digress. Taylor, Steven, Belly, and Jer decide that they want to play chicken in the pool. Conrad is here, but he decides to sit out. He doesn't really want to play with them. And Jeremiah immediately says that he wants to be paired up with Taylor, and Steven's like, heck no. Heck no, I am not going to be on the same side as my sister during a game of chicken. No, who do you think we are? No, no, no. So Jer, being the little golden retriever that he is, he looks at Belly and he says, not a problem one bit. We're going to beat them no matter what. We've got this in the bag. So this means for the first round of chicken, we have Taylor and Steven going up against Belly and Jer with Conrad on the sidelines watching. Belly and Jer end up winning that round, and Taylor says, we need to go again, let's go again, except this time I want to be paired with Jer. Steven says, you know what, fine, whatever, Conrad, switch with me, you can be on Belly's team. And so Conrad decides to get in the pool and join in the game of chicken. As soon as they start this next round, Taylor is in the water and Conrad and Belly win right off the bat, and they're high-fiving each other. When Conrad finally puts Belly back down, he gives her one of these rare smiles that she has never seen him make before. It makes her feel incredibly special. And Belly looks at him and says, I play to win, knowing that he feels the exact same way because he is super competitive. To some extent, this scene does happen in the show, except in the show, it's not a flashback. Conrad does not participate. Nicole/Red Sox girl is there in the show. We haven't even met her yet in the book. So there are some differences, but it is still included and it's a fun moment in the show. It has been a couple days since Jer and Belly shared their Twizzler soda together, and Jer decides to announce to the whole household that he is going to teach Belly how to drive stick shift. Belly can tell that Steven is starting to feel left out because this is how she is normally treated every summer. But for some reason this summer, Jer just wants to spend all his time with Belly, and she has no clue why. They just must be such great friends. He just must really think of her as a friend. While Jer is teaching her how to drive, he looks over and he goes, it's hot when girls can drive stick, which I just think is such a weird sentence to say. But that's okay. We'll move on. We'll move forward from that. But he does say that, which makes her laugh. He says, I thought boys just liked helpless girls. Jer shrugs his shoulders and goes, yeah, I guess, but I like smart girls. Ellie full on calls him out and says, no, you don't. You liked Taylor for so long. And Jeremiah is just like, oh, do not bring that up. Please do not bring that up. We learn a very quick bit of background knowledge that when Taylor came to stay with them when Belly was 14, Jer and Taylor kissed, but so did Jer and Belly. And so Belly uses this opportunity to look at Jer and say, you know, you were my first kiss. Yeah, I know. Taylor told me afterwards. And then they drop the topic and they go back home. A few days have passed and it is finally time for Steven to leave Cousins Beach, to leave the summer house, because as I said earlier, he is going on a college tour with his dad. And so this is the end of the summer house for Steven. And this is making Belly feel like this is their last summer that they will ever have in Cousins together, because Steven is currently looking at college. Conrad is starting Brown in the fall, so he might not even want to come home during the summers. Jerry's gonna have football camp. And Belly's thinking to herself, well, if this is gonna be our last true summer together at Cousins Beach, I'm gonna make the most out of this summer. Quick little flashback, and when I say quick, it is like a blip. And then it's over. Age 11, her, Conrad, and Steven are laying on a blanket on the beach. They're playing a round of Would You Rather. Steven starts picking on Belly. Conrad once again says, lay off of her, stop picking on her. And this is when Belly just realizes, wow, Conrad really cares about me. He cares about me. And this moment meant everything to her, especially since we're going back to it right now. Like, it just meant everything. This little quick moment. And as I said, it was so quick that we're now back in present time. Crazy, crazy. So later that night when Steven left, Belly cannot sleep. So she's like, I'm gonna go for a swim because that's what I do when I can't sleep. She goes outside and she finds Jeremiah, Conrad, and this guy named Clay. These three boys are just chilling on the lounge chairs, and normally Belly would just kind of cower back into the house, not say anything, hope that she wouldn't be seen. But this summer is different than last summer and all the other ones. She's gonna be bold and she's gonna go and she's gonna talk to him. Clay immediately tells Belly to sit down. He wants to talk to her. In fact, Clay leans in for a hug. Belly notices that Conrad is visibly irritated, but she has no idea why. It's just a hug. And before Belly can even say anything to Clay, Conrad interrupts and he says, she's fine. She's going to bed. Good night, Belly. Whew. Everyone, let's collectively take a big inhale and exhale, because this part also made me cringe a little bit in the book, but we are gonna push through. We're gonna fight through for y'all. It's what I do. So Belly starts to argue with them, saying, I'm just a little bit younger than you. I don't have to go to bed right now. In fact, I have a casual boyfriend back home. She chooses to do this so that they don't keep thinking of her as a little girl, but it comes off really cringy because everyone knows that she doesn't have a casual boyfriend or a boyfriend in general. And so she's just lying, and it's awkward. It's awkward. But Clay is a little persistent. He moves through this awkwardness and he just asks her, are you coming to the 4th of July bonfire? Tell me you're coming to the 4th of July bonfire. Conrad once again interrupts before Belly can say anything, looks at Belly and says, I thought you were going for a swim. JR is now glaring at Conrad saying, give her a break. If she wants to go for a swim, she will go for a swim. Belly also overhears Conrad saying that he wishes that the summer would just be over, and this makes her so angry. She thinks to herself, then just leave already, just go. If you're miserable, just go. But then she is reminded that she's no longer going to let Conrad bother her and rule her life. She's going to make the most of this summer despite his negative energy, which means Belly is going to that bonfire, so let's see what happens at the 4th of July bonfire, shall we? Belly has been thinking about what she was going to wear as soon as she was invited to this party, and let me just tell you right now, she chose wrong. You chose wrong. Belly decides to show up in shorts, t-shirt, no shoes. All the other girls decide to show up in sundresses and Uggs, which is a combination. That's a combination. Maybe that's like 2009 style. I don't know. Conrad warns Belly to be careful because if anything happens to her, neither of their moms will ever let it go. To be completely frank, Belly is not having a good time. She doesn't know anyone here except for Jeremiah and Conrad. They're off doing their own thing. She doesn't really want to hang out with Clay because who even knows what he's up to right now. And so she's just kind of off by her lonesome, completely underdressed, until Belly notices a boy who is also by himself. The boy catches Belly staring and he decides to wave, and when he waves, Belly's like, this is my chance, I'm gonna go talk to this guy. He immediately looks and goes, you look so familiar. And Belly, just like any normal human, because I also would have thought this, thinks that is a horrible line, like that is not a good pickup line. And then he goes, no. Do you know Latin? I think I met you at the Latin convention in DC, right? And she actually did. That was her. And so they introduce each other with their Latin names. And then he also tells her his legit name, which is Cam. She tells him her name is Isabel, but everybody calls her Belly. And if you're wondering why everyone calls her Belly, it's because when she was younger, her favorite candy was a Jelly Belly. And so her dad just started calling her that. Cam and Belly are talking for a little bit, and honestly, they're hitting it off. He looks a little sad. He looks at her and says, I actually think that I'm about to have to go. I'm so sorry. Do you need a ride home? This is when Belly looks at him and says, oh, like I came here with Jeremiah and Conrad, so I really can't leave until they leave. And Cam just assumes that Conrad and Jeremiah are Belly's brothers because Conrad keeps looking over at them very protectively. Belly looks over at Conrad. He is talking to Red Sox Girl, and that's what she's referred to for a hot second. So this is Red Sox Girl. Currently, we will get a name soon. While Belly is looking at Conrad and Red Sox Girl, Cam's explaining why he has to leave early. He has to study for a whale exam. He wants to eventually be able to intern on a whaling boat. This is true in the TV show as well. Belly completely changes her tune and she says, you know what, I actually will take you up on the offer for a ride home. Thank you so much. Belly then sprints to Conrad to tell him that Cam is going to take her home instead, so don't wait up. Red Sox Girl looks Belly up and down and goes, hello? Conrad ignores this and he looks at Belly and he says, you're not going home with a stranger. Belly says, oh, he's not a stranger. I actually know him. And he's leaving early to study whales. Conrad's like, I don't care what he's studying. You're not getting a ride home from him. I don't know him. If you want to leave, I will take you home right now. I would also just like to note that Conrad is holding Belly by her elbow while they're talking. So if he wants to guide her out, he definitely can because he's holding onto her elbow. Belly looks at him very aggravated and she goes, fine. I don't even want to leave anyway, whatever. But Conrad doesn't let her go. Like, he's still holding on to her elbow. Conrad looks at her and says, I thought you had a boyfriend. Obviously, he's mocking her because as I said earlier, they all know that she did not have a casual boyfriend. We all knew it was a lie. Belly tells Conrad, you are being a jerk. Conrad replies with, well then stop acting like a 4-year-old. Red Sox Girl is just sitting there being like, is this your girlfriend? Why are y'all bickering? Both shout, no, at the exact same time. Conrad then looks at Red Sox Girl and starts frantically explaining like who Belly is to him. And Belly looks at Red Sox Girl and she goes, you're wasting your time because he will never love anything as much as he loves himself. Obviously, Red Sox Girl is not happy over this and Conrad is not happy at all. Some may say angry, and he just says, go wait over there. Go wait over there until I go get you. Because that was messy. That was so messy, but we kind of live for the mess around here. This is when Jer decides to finally show up. Who knows what he's been doing during this time, but he's finally decided to show up. And he's just kind of standing there like a lost puppy being like, what is going on? Why is there so much tension? Why is everyone angry at each other? Conrad looks at Belly and says, you are not leaving with that guy. Jer is now trying to calm Conrad down, like, breathe in, breathe out, what is going on? And Belly just starts to walk away. She starts to walk away. Cam, mind you, has watched this whole interaction go down because he was standing by himself before he was even talking to Belly, so he definitely saw all of that go down. So he just looks at Belly, he's like, you know what? Maybe I don't have to leave right now. The whales can wait. The whales will still be there. When I want to go study them, we can talk for a little bit. How about that? Belly could feel Conrad stare in the back of her head the whole time she was talking to Cam, which is in total was about an hour. Starting to get a little cold outside, and so Belly's like rubbing her arms like, brr, so cold. He understood the assignment. Cam understood the hint, and he goes, here, take my hoodie. You can have it. I don't need it. I'm fine. I actually think it's quite hot outside. Take my hoodie. And under his hoodie, he is wearing a shirt that says straight edge. He explains to Belly that he does not participate in any activities that could be harmful to his body. He is a straight edge human being. Jer is the one to go to Belly to tell her, it's time to leave. We need to go. Cam looks at her and says, you know what? You can take my hoodie. You can just give it back to me next time. And Belly's like, okay, perfect. Here's my number. Belly watches Conrad say goodbye to Red Sox girl. And while this is happening, another girl comes up to Belly and asks, hey, do you like Cam? And Belly responds with, I barely know him. The girl continues on saying, I saw the way that Nicole was talking to you. She's not a great person. We've now learned that baseball hat girl, Red Sox girl, whatever I refer to her as, her name is Nicole. Conrad drove everybody home, and Conrad and Belly did not speak a word to one another. Not a single sound was made. And Jer tried to lighten the mood, but it didn't work. Obviously, didn't work one bit. While back at home, Jer asks Belly what happened, and Jer says, will you just go a little easier on him? He's going through a very rough time right now. In fact, he specifically says he's going through stuff. She tells him to explain, but Jer says, no, just let it go. That night, Belly decided to sleep in Cam's hoodie, and she also decided to wear it the next day, even though it was extremely hot outside, because it's summer at the beach. Oh, and Belly also realized during this moment in time that she didn't give Cam her phone number. She gave Cam the summer house phone number, the beach house phone number, the landline, if you will. There's like a 99% chance that she won't even be the one to originally answer the phone. It could be anyone else in that house. So to make sure that she's the one that's going to answer the phone, Belly's made sure to stay in the house all day just in case the phone rings. The phone does end up ringing, but Belly is very quickly disappointed because it's Mr. Fisher. And so she's like, oh, hi, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Fisher makes small talk. Belly does the same thing and she's like, oh, are you coming down soon? To which he's like, no. But when he says that, Belly finally realizes, I haven't seen him all summer. Normally he pops in, but I haven't seen him once this summer and we're already into July. Eventually Jer finds Belly sitting by the phone and he tells her, we need to do something today. I am bored. We need to go do something. Let's go to Go-Kart City. Belly asks if she can drive the red go-kart. A male worker says, you are so pretty, I'd let you drive my actual car. This very noticeably upsets Jer. He is irked by the comment that worker made. He just lets it roll off his shoulders. They go go-karting, they have a very nice time, they make it back home, and Cam did end up calling when Belly was away. But also, he didn't leave his number. So he's gonna have to call back because he did not leave a number one bit. During this time where she learned that Cam did call and he will eventually call her back, Laurel is talking to Belly, and Belly decides to bring up that Mr. Fisher called, but he's not coming anytime soon. Laurel immediately says, what else did he say? What else did Mr. Fisher say? Belly doesn't think anything weird about this interaction, but just keep what Laurel said in mind for later down the road. Make a mental note. Laurel also tells Belly that Susanna is upstairs with a summer cold. Belly immediately knows that something is up because 1, Laurel is a horrible liar, and 2, Susanna seems sad all summer for some reason. Cam has been calling the next few nights and him and Belly have been talking for a while each and every time, and they eventually make plans to hang out. And when they finally hung out, they hung out for like 5 hours together. They didn't want to leave. But when Belly did finally leave, she realized he didn't ask her to hang out again, and so she was getting a little antsy, and so Belly's like, you know what? This is my summer. This is my summer. I'm gonna take matters in my own hand. I'm gonna invite him to come over. Cam accepts, he comes over, and do you know what Belly was wearing when Cam came over? His hoodie, yet again, great guess. And right before Cam leaves, he ends up inviting Belly to a party that's happening the next night. Belly tells the boys about this and they are shook that Belly got invited to this party. Conrad says something very, very suspicious of the host of this party. And Belly immediately shakes her head and she's like, no, Cam wouldn't be friends with someone like that. He's straight edge. Jared's like, who is Cam? I'm so confused. Who is Cam? And Conrad's like, you're not going to this party with him, no. Which makes Belly so mad because this is the second time Conrad has tried to tell her what she can and can't do. And Jared's like, you know what? I think I will check out this party with you. You can go, I'll just go with you. And then Conrad goes, I too will come with you to this party. This is the first time in our story where Belly has a thought. Do both of the brothers have feelings for me? Is this why they're being so weird over the Cam situation? If I could make a triangle with my hands and my arms, I would, because a love triangle is coming our way. That was a triangle, woo! Ellie decides to stop by Susanna's room before she leaves. She sees Laurel and Susanna working on a photo album. She tells them about the party. She says goodbye. And then when she's walking out, Jer winks and says, see you at the party. Conrad walks past her and he's like, what perfume are you wearing? It is so strong. It is giving me a headache. To add onto that, he looks at her and goes, why are you wearing so much makeup? She's barely wearing any makeup. She's wearing mascara and lip gloss. But it's so much makeup. And this makes her angrily slam the front door shut. She's making her way down to the car. Cam is like, do I not need to come in and meet everyone? She's like, no. It is better this way. It's not time for you to meet the boys yet. Cam tells her, wow, like it's so nice that these boys care so much about you. And Belly's like, do they? Do they? Again, triangle. Of course, Cam and Belly make some small talk on the way to the party. They make it into the party. Belly is meeting everyone, but she keeps hearing Conrad's voice in her head. He's not even here yet, but she can literally still hear him for some reason. Eventually, the boys do end up making it to the party, so then she doesn't feel crazy that she's just hearing his voice. And when they show up, Jer immediately goes to the karaoke machine, and Conrad is on the couch with Nicole. Now, the karaoke scene is actually in the TV show, and it is a very fun scene. I really loved that one. Also, I want to note, Nicole is significantly better in the TV show. Just like Taylor, she is significantly better. They made good changes to her character. Jeremiah, with his microphone, announces to everyone, the next song is going out to Belly and this guy. What's your name? Cameron. Cam Cameron. Your name is Cam Cameron? Everyone at the party starts laughing because he's on a microphone, even Conrad, which is especially irritating Belly because just a moment ago he looked so bored. So bored. And this comment and everyone laughing has made Belly feel like the boys have deemed Cam unworthy, and honestly it skewed her opinion of him that quickly, which is really sad because he's such a great and wholesome guy. He's straight edge and he loves whales. And he's not one of their brothers. Ooh, also a note, Jer picks the song Summer Lovin' from Grease, which is the exact same song they use in the TV show. That is a fun little touch. Belly and Cam leave before the song is over, and she notices that Conrad is staring at her as she's leaving. Belly thinks like, maybe Cam is gonna kiss me soon. Maybe he's gonna kiss me. But he doesn't. He was actually just stretching. He was doing a good old stretch, no kiss. But even if Cam was going to kiss her in that moment, there was a loud ruckus that Belly immediately knew was Conrad. I just want to note, Cam and Belly have not fully left the party, they've just left the house. Like, they are outside of the house now. That's why they're still able to hear the ruckus. But this ruckus is Conrad arguing with the guy who looks 25. And Conrad, during this point in time, he's not all there, if you catch my drift. He is not all there. And he's arguing with the guy that's huge and 25 years old. Belly's trying to get Jer to do something and Jer's like, he can handle himself. No, I'm not interjecting. And so Belly's like, okay, I guess I'll handle it. And so she literally puts herself in the middle and she's trying to drag Conrad away. Conrad's like, no, leave, I've got this under control. He's not all there once again. And so Belly's like, well, I'm not gonna just leave you like this in this condition. The guy who looks 25 looks at Belly and says, yeah, you better take him home. Conrad snaps and says, don't talk to her. Belly is begging at this point, like, let's go, please, like, let's go. And the guy is laughing, saying, listen to your girlfriend, kid. Listen to your girlfriend. Belly is now the one to snap on this 25-year-old saying, I'm not his girlfriend. She then makes eye contact with Cam from across the room and he looks like a deer in headlights because he's just a whale watching loving boy that's straight edge, and why would he want to get into a fight with a 25-year-old or witness a fight with a 25-year-old? Like, he is so out of his element. Finally, Jer does something, comes up and whispers in Conrad's ear, and they are able to get Conrad to leave the situation. This is when Belly realizes that whatever Jer said to Conrad was about her. It was about her. We just don't know what it was. They are making their way to the car. Cam reaches out, grabs Belly's arm and says, are you sure you're okay to be going home with these guys? This was not the right thing to say. Let me just tell you. Let me just tell you. Because Conrad gets so angry. He goes, who even is this guy? Who is this guy? Belly's like trying to ignore him over here, being like, I promise you it's completely fine. Jer's gonna drive. It's fine. Conrad is just staring daggers into Cam's soul right now. And Jer shakes his head saying, yeah, I'm good. I'm good to drive straight edge. No problem. I've got this. Cam is visibly irritated, but he gives Belly a quick hug and he tells her goodbye and that he'll see her soon. And the three of them make their way to the car. They get Conrad into the car and Jeremiah realizes that he left his hat inside, so he's like, I will be right back. Don't you fret, I will be right back. Conrad and Belly are now alone in the car. Conrad leans up, pulls on Belly's hair a little bit. This is just like playing with it more than pulling it. So he's playing with her hair. He says, your hair is like a little kid's, the way it's always messy. Thank you? Belly doesn't say anything because how are you supposed to respond to that? But this does send a chill down her spine. And they're just watching each other through the visor mirror. Conrad starts to speak and he goes, Belly. But then Jer found his hat and he's back at the car. So we don't get to hear what Conrad was going to say. The next day it's like nothing happened. Conrad is still treating Belly like the same little old Belly he's known his whole life. Cam hasn't called in a little bit, but understandably so. Like, that party was a lot. But when he finally does call, the book does not specify how long it took him to call, by the way, so the timeline's a little funky right here. But when he finally does call, he invites her to go to a drive-in with him. This makes Belly think of a memory from a few summers ago where her, Jer, and Steven decided to go spy on Conrad while he was at a date at the drive-in. Fun fact, this scene actually happened in the TV show, but it happened for Cam and Belly's date. So in the TV show, Jer, Conrad, and Steven were the ones that pulled up to the drive-in date for Belly and Cam instead of for Conrad, like it was in the book. Very interesting change. And I think the reason they made this change in the show is because Belly in the book right here during this moment is thinking to herself, I wish the guys would do that for me because I would feel so much more comfortable if they were there. So I'm pretty sure that's why they made the change in the show, because book Belly thinks that. The date actually goes quite well, except he's very far away from her. Like, every instance or opportunity, he's just like leaning away from her and there's a big space. And so Belly's a little upset over this. And on their way home, Cam looks at Belly and he goes, do you know why I remember you from that Latin convention? And this is a rhetorical question, mind you. And so he keeps going saying, it's because you were the prettiest girl I had ever seen before. And Belly's just laughing at him because she doesn't believe him. She's always been the funny friend. Taylor's the pretty one. Taylor's the pretty one. I'm the funny one. And Cam goes on saying, no, you were the prettiest person I ever saw. I remember your blue dress and the way it made your eyes look. Belly smiles a little bit and she goes, my eyes are gray. Yeah, but that dress made them blue. Belly makes a mental note saying, oh yeah, that's actually why I bought that dress, because it made my eyes really blue. Belly finally says something and she goes, why didn't you ever come up to me then? Cam says, well, you were always with your friends, but I saw you by yourself at the bonfire and I knew I could come up and talk to you. He also says, I almost messed up my speech at the Latin convention so you would win. Belly whispers, I wish you would have come up to me then. And then they kiss. They have their first kiss right there, right then. When Belly walked into the house, she is so elated. She had an amazing night, but the vibe of the house is very, very off because Laurel and Susanna are fighting, which they never fight. And so this is scaring Belly a little bit. Belly hears Susanna say, I'm a big girl now. I need you to stop micromanaging my life. I get to decide how I want to live it. This is when Belly decides that it's a great moment for her to burst into the room and ask what is going on. They both tell her nothing and Belly makes them promise. As soon as they do this, Laurel leaves the room. Like, she's like, I cannot be in here anymore. I have to go. And Susanna's like, just ignore her. Ignore your mother. Come here and tell me all about your date. Belly tells her everything. And Susanna says, you know, you can talk talk to your mom about this stuff too, right? Belly shakes her head saying, no, I can't. She would pretend that she cares, but we both know that she doesn't. Susanna replies saying, that's not true. She's your biggest fan. Don't shut her out. New day, new outfit. It's raining outside, so if it looks a little darker than it did earlier on in the video, I apologize. We're rolling with the punches. I can't control the weather, but let's hop back into our story. July turned to August, and normally around this time, Mr. Fisher would make his way down to the summer house for a weekend, maybe 2 weekends. Apparently, he could not get off work. When Susanna decides to go to bed early one night, Conrad looks at Belly and says, my parents are getting divorced and it is about time. Jared starts arguing with Conrad, and then he looks at Belly and says, don't tell anyone because my mom doesn't know that we know yet. When Conrad finally leaves to go to bed, Jared looks at Belly and he tells her, my dad has moved all of his clothes out of the house and he's been sleeping in the guest room for weeks. That's how we know. The next day, Laurel tells Belly, we miss you. Can you please just stay home one night? You've been hanging out with Cam a lot recently. Just please stay home. We miss you a lot. Susanna adds, bring Cam to dinner if you want. That's fine with us as well. We just want to see you at home one night. So let's get ready for the most awkward dinner to ever exist. Woo! Our boy Cam Cameron is a vegetarian, and so the boys decide to pick on him a lot for that. Jared goes as far as saying, if you don't eat meat, but Belly does eat meat, doesn't that freak you out when you kiss her? Cam says, nope. In fact, he decides to lean over and kiss Belly in front of everyone at the dinner table. And mind you, this scene is actually in the TV show, except it's done on Belly's birthday, and this is just a random family dinner. After this very awkward family dinner, Cam and Belly decide to take a little walk on the beach. Cam smiles, looks at Belly and goes, okay, which one of these boys was your first kiss? Belly smiles at him and goes, why don't you guess? He doesn't miss a beat, and he goes, Conrad. It was Conrad, wasn't it? Belly's like, why on earth did you guess that? No, it was Jeremiah. Cam looks at Belly and he goes, just a feeling I had because of the way he looks at you. Do y'all want to know how her first kiss went? I think I should tell y'all how her first kiss went, which means we need to go back in time to age 14. Again, this is when Taylor was staying at the cousin's beach house with all of them. Taylor, Steven, Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah are playing Truth or Dare. Taylor is hardcore picking on Belly during this moment in time. Remember I said earlier, Taylor is someone who will compliment you, but it's just backhanded every single time, and it's honestly an insult. And so that's what she's doing to Belly in front of everyone in the room. And Jeremiah's getting a little fed up with it. So when it's Jeremiah's turn, Taylor looks at Jer and goes, I dare you to kiss someone in the room. Taylor obviously is thinking that she's the one who's gonna get kissed by Jer. But Jer's like, you've been picking on Belly. I'm gonna kiss Belly. And so he leans over and he kisses Belly. Conrad and Steven immediately leave after this because they're like, ugh. And Belly also chooses to leave right after this, thinking that Taylor will follow her and be a decent and good friend since this was Belly's first kiss, and Taylor definitely is the reason that this even happened, but book Taylor is a horrible friend, TV show Taylor is superior, and Taylor does not come find Belly. Conrad is still in the hallway when Belly comes out of the room, and he starts messing with her a little bit, and then he says, and I quote, I notice everything, even poor you. The next morning after this Truth or Dare game, Belly wakes up and Taylor is not there. Belly comes downstairs and she sees that Taylor is hanging out with Jeremiah. And then the next day, Belly notices that Taylor's hanging out with who? With Steven. And not only are they hanging out, they're having a moment alone on the beach together. So Belly is not a happy camper. In fact, Belly uses this moment to go off on Taylor, saying he doesn't even like you, he's just using you because you were the only one here at the beach. Belly keeps going on saying, you said things would stay the same, you can't keep leading him on and messing around with him. Taylor's like, with Steven? I'm not doing that to Steven. And she's like, no, with Jer, you're messing around with him. Taylor very flippantly goes, Jer doesn't care. Jer literally does not care. And some other very strong choice words were said during this moment that are a little shamey towards Taylor's decisions and choices, but I'm not gonna say them because it's harsh. It's harsh, so I'm not going in that, but just know some words were said. Later that day, there's a very awkward tension in the air, and Jared tells Belly that she should never have brought Taylor here, and that it's better when it's just them at the beach house. After that summer, things with Taylor were okay, but they were never the same, and Belly and Taylor have never acknowledged that that summer ever happened. They don't speak about it to this day, but they are still friends. Let's go back to present day now. Conrad is just coming home, and guess what time it is? It's 3 a.m. He was out all night. Belly decides to go to Conrad's room because he is blaring music at 3 a.m. Belly, since she's here talking to him anywho, decides to ask, why did you quit football? To which Conrad says, I didn't love it. My dad did. I just did it for my dad. But Conrad's not done. He then asks Belly, why did you quit dance, Belly? She doesn't answer his question. In fact, she avoids it by going, at least I can dance. I was really good at it. You can't dance. And Conrad's like, hey, I can dance. You know I can dance. Well, then prove it. I don't have to prove it. I taught you moves, remember? And then he jumps off the bed. He grabs Belly's hand and he gives her a twirl. Belly shakes her head and goes, I don't consider that moves. Turn down your music. You are waking up the whole house. And then she leaves. But Conrad hollers after her going, good night, Bells. Emphasis on Bells. In the TV show, Jer is the one who calls her Bells, but in the book, that is like the main thing Conrad calls her. Belly thinks after this moment that he has made it so hard for her not to love him. He used to be sweet like this to her all the time. And she remembers why she loves him. And then she corrects herself thinking she remembers why she used to love him. Past tense. We have another flashback. Belly is now 11 and this one's a dancing flashback, mind you, because remember, he told her that he used to teach her some moves. So let's see what those moves were. Belly is twirling around the room. She asks Steven if he will dance with her because she needs a partner for some of the dance moves. Steven immediately is like, no, I'm not dancing with you. Susanna intervenes, as one does, obviously. This is what Susanna is known for. She goes, Connie, go dance with Belly. Conrad sighs, but he gets up anyway and he offers her his hand. And he teaches her a dance. And honestly, it was just a really, really sweet moment. I will say it once again does show that Susanna really does do a hint, hint, wink, wink at every possible moment that she could have for her to end up with one of her sons. And it's not subtle. Honestly, it's a little aggressive and it's almost always towards Conrad, but all in all, it is a really, really cute moment. And this scene is also in the show, except Susanna's not in this scene. So in the show, Conrad just offers to dance with Belly because he wants to. When in the book, he probably still wants to, but Susanna is the one that interjects saying, Conrad, go dance with her. So there is that difference. But let's see what Belly and Cam are up to in present day. They have spent the whole day at the beach and Cam has made Belly some lunch. They're having a little picnic. He made her an avocado and sprout sandwich, which is the exact same thing he made her in the TV show. So I did think that that was a very nice touch. And Cam tells Belly that he's gonna go inside the house real quick to get some water because the Kool-Aid that they're drinking has way too much sugar in it. So he will be right back. But his definition of right back must be different from everyone else's because Cam has literally gone 45 minutes. 45 minutes he has left Belly outside while he has been in their house. And so Belly's like, okay, I'm now tired of waiting. What the heck is going on? She goes inside the house and what does she see? She sees Cam playing video games with Jer and Conrad. He has left her outside so that he can go play video games with the boys. Belly's clearly irritated and rightfully so, in my opinion. She goes into the kitchen and who follows her? Not Cam, because he's oblivious to the situation. Conrad does. Conrad says, are you just gonna ignore me forever? No, what do you want? Conrad leans in really close to her and goes, why do you have to be like that? Belly goes to leave the room, but Conrad grabs her by the wrist and he goes, come on, Bells, why are you so mad at me? Bells, once again, Bells. Belly looks at him and she goes, do you honestly care at this point? Conrad goes, yes, of course I care. And Belly is surprised by this answer from him because this is not what she was expecting at all because he has been so closed off this summer and has just not cared about anything. And so the fact that he immediately said yes, she's like, whoa, what is going on? And Belly is still in her very sassy era. And so she goes, why don't you go outside and go do the activity that stinks up the house some more? Conrad is now very angry by her passive-aggressive comment. Goes, why don't you go look at yourself in the mirror some more? This scene is in the show, except it's literally in the first episode, and so it's a little different, but those two pieces of dialogue that I just said are the exact same in the show than it is in the book. Just a little bit of different context. But anywho, Belly is very angry. She starts to walk away. Conrad calls after Belly. You can tell that he feels really bad for what he said, but she's just like, I'm not dealing with it. So she keeps walking away. She goes into the living room. She sits down and she goes, I get to play next game. And while she's waiting to play the next game, Belly thinks to herself, this is probably how all crushes go away. Slowly, and then just like that. The next day, Cam decides to come over to the house yet again. He actually hangs out with Belly the whole time. He doesn't flake on her to go play with the boys. And he actually stays pretty late. Around midnight, they decide that they want to go walk to the beach together. And Cam asks her, truth or dare? But Belly's like, I don't want to play that game. We're going to play Would You Rather instead because that's more fun. And then she starts off her Would You Rather with, would you rather go skinny dipping or something else? He answers and she goes, we should actually just go skinny dipping. And she starts running towards the ocean. Cam is like, no. We are so close to your house right now. What if someone sees us? Because again, this is a beach house. The house is on the beach. They are not far from their house at all. And him not wanting to go skinny dipping with her has offended her. She thinks that it is something personal. And so she becomes like a little venomous. She's just spewing venom and is being quite rude to Cam when he said no. And a little peer pressury. After this little fiasco, Belly storms into the house and Conrad is there and he goes, where's Cam Cameron? Who knows? Who cares? Oh, a little lover spat? She responds with, mind your business, mind your business. And Belly stayed in the kitchen because she was waiting for Cam to come in and maybe apologize or just talk to her, just follow her into the house. But instead, she just hears his car start and then she hears him leave. And so she's a little more angry actually. But the next morning she goes up to the dock and she sees an empty water bottle that has a little note in it. She pulls the note out and it says, I owe you 1 skinny dip from Cam. So at least he did say something before he left, but also even if he didn't, he would have been very justified because she was quite rude, quite rude. Later that day, Jared's like, come hang out with me at the country club. He's a lifeguard at the country club. This is his same summer job that he had in the TV show as well. Belly shows up at the country club. She meets the co-lifeguard and she's like, hi, I'm Belly. And the co-lifeguard's like, oh, I know. I have heard so much about you. And then when the co-lifeguard leaves, Belly looks at Jared and she's like, she's pretty. She's really pretty. Jared shrugs his shoulders and he goes, she's nice. What about you and Cam Cameron? He's kind of a dork. Belly responds with, that's why I like him. He's different. Jared goes, different. You mean not Conrad? Yeah, he's nice to me. Jared goes, just nice? So you're over him? For real? Him that Jared's referring to in this moment is not Cam. He is referring to his brother, Conrad. Belly doesn't say anything, but she does nod her head yes. And Jared's just intensely watching her saying, I don't believe you. And she goes, well, it's true. I'm over him. And then Jared's break is over and when he's going back to do his thing, being a lifeguard, she's thinking to herself, wow, Jeremiah is such a great friend. Emphasis on friend. When Belly comes home, she finds Susanna and Laurel on the beach in their beach chairs. Laurel's like, what are you doing later tonight? Belly says, oh, Cam and I are going mini golfing. Laurel says, okay, well, have fun, but can you try and come home a little early tonight? We would really love to watch a movie with you. And this makes Belly really mad, by the way. And remember, she is a teenager, so they are angsty and they do kind of blow certain things out of proportion, but she gets rather mad that her mom even brought that up or mentioned that. Laurel can sense this and she goes, we like Cam, we miss you. Belly nods her head, she agrees and she goes, okay, I'll come home early and we can all watch a movie together. Belly takes the empty beach chair next to them, she sits down, she has her headphones in so Susanna and Laurel don't think that Belly can hear anything. And so Susanna is whispering, saying, I think Conrad knows. I think he knows that something is up. He's been like this for months and he's so sensitive. I know it's gonna hit him harder. Laurel says, isn't it time that you finally tell the boys? Suzanne says, when the summer is over, that is soon enough. When the summer is over. Laurel continues to push saying, I think it's time now. I think enough time has passed. I think it's time. Susanna snaps back saying, I know when it's time. Don't push. Belly is assuming that this is over Susanna and Mr. Fisher's potential divorce. Keep that in mind that that is what Belly is thinking that this conversation is about. Cam comes to pick Belly up. They go mini golfing. He even lets Belly drive. And when they get back to the house, Belly's like, let's just sit here for a little bit. And so they're sitting here in the car. Cam looks at Belly and he goes, can I kiss you? And Belly goes, you just ruined the whole moment. Why would you ask me that? And then she pauses and she goes, sure, but next time don't ask. It's weird. And Cam is obviously embarrassed because I would be embarrassed if that happened to me because that's a little harsh. And also we'd love consent. And Belly's just apologizing over and over and over again. She starts to head in, they hug, but the whole time that they're hugging, Belly's just thinking to herself, man, I wish Conrad was watching this right now. Girly. Since Belly and Cam were hanging out in the car, this means that Belly didn't come home early to watch a movie, so she completely flaked on them. And when she walks into the house, Laurel just stares at her. She doesn't have to say anything. And just Laurel's stare is enough to make Belly feel very guilty. But who feels guilt when your birthday's the next day? Ooh, it's time for a birthday celebration, and I believe our girl is turning 16. And Belly's birthday is always that reminder that the end of summer is coming. Laurel tells Belly, if you want, you can invite Cam for our little birthday celebration. Belly doesn't do that though. Susanna made her cake that morning and they all sing happy birthday to her. They tell her to make a wish, and Belly has wished for the same thing the last 4 years. But not today. Today it is a different wish. She opens her first present, and the first one is from Susanna. It is a pearl necklace that was given to Susanna by her dad on her 16th birthday. So this is a very sentimental and expensive birthday present, but very, very sentimental to Susanna. And now it's time for the boys to give Belly their presents. And who's up first? Conrad. But Conrad just shrugs and goes, sorry, Belly. I forgot this year. And I would just like to note that Conrad has never missed her birthday before. He has always been the sweetest person to her, and he's never missed her birthday before. And so this is just a blow to Belly. Like this one hurts a little bit. But Jared can sense this awkward tension because everyone in the room is like, oh no. And so Jared steps in, he's like, here, open mine. And when Belly opens it, it's a small charm. It's a silver key. And if you're thinking to yourself, oh, a charm. Does she have a charm bracelet or something? Let's go back in time to her 11th birthday so y'all can find out. This is the year that her mom had made Belly a box cake for her birthday. And when she was opening presents, Susanna gifted her a silver charm bracelet. Let's go back to present day now that you know that she has a charm bracelet. Belly is ecstatic over this, so she runs upstairs to grab her charm bracelet so she can put it on and just show everyone her bracelet. And this isn't some random charm. This is a charm from the exact jewelry shop that Susanna bought the original bracelet from. And it's not cheap, guys. It's pretty expensive. And we learned that Jared used almost all of his lifeguarding money to buy her this charm. And Conrad actually leaves before they even have cake. He's like, I'm out of here, gotta go. Later, Conrad invites Nicole over to the house, and Belly literally cannot take it. She can't even take it. So not even 5 minutes after Nicole has arrived at the house, she's like, Cam, come over now. Cam and Belly are gonna watch a movie, but all of a sudden, Conrad is feeling so social. He's feeling so social, and he's like, can we watch the movie with y'all? We're gonna watch the movie with y'all. They are between two movies, Titanic, which is Belly's pick, and then Reservoir Dogs, which is Cam's pick. Nicole and Cam are kind of making fun of Belly for liking Titanic, so obviously Nicole votes for Cam's pick, and Conrad's like, you know what? I'll watch Titanic with Belly. I'm gonna vote for Titanic. And this irritates Belly, so Belly looks at them and goes, you know what, I changed my vote. I actually wanna watch what Cam wants to watch. You're outnumbered, she says at Conrad. This makes Nicole kind of mad, and so Nicole's like, fine, then I change my vote. Belly is heated, and Belly goes, you don't even have voting rights. Who even are you? Conrad says, does Cam even have voting rights? Cam, trying to diffuse the situation, says, let's just watch Titanic. I will turn Titanic on. A little into the movie, Nicole and Conrad are like, let's get out of here. And Belly is noticeably jealous. Noticeably. So jealous to the point that she's smack talking Nicole. She is talking so badly about Nicole right now. And Cam snaps going, why are you so obsessed? Why are you so obsessed with them? Belly is offended and she goes, why would I be obsessed with her? She has no personality anyway. Cam looks at her like, and you can tell he wants to say something, but he doesn't. He holds it in. And after a little bit, Conrad and Nicole come back downstairs and he tells everyone that he's about to bring Nicole back home. As soon as Conrad and Nicole leave, Cam sits up and he goes, did you just bring me over here to make him jealous? Make who jealous? Conrad, obviously. You still like him? No. You hesitated. And then he pauses and he goes, you're leaving the beach soon. Do you even want to keep in touch? Belly's like, do you? Yeah, I do. And Cam keeps looking at her, expecting her to say something. And eventually Belly gets the hint. She's like, oh yeah, me too. And then Cam leaves. A few days later, they're finally having the movie night that they were supposed to have when Belly went mini golfing and missed it. So we're having our movie night. Belly's there, Laurel's there, Susanna's there, and Jer is there. Conrad is not. Susanna fell asleep during the movie and Laurel asks Jer if he will carry her up to bed. Jer comes back downstairs. Laurel has already gone to bed, but Belly is still up. And Jer tells Belly, let's not go to bed yet. Let's stay up a little longer. He also asks, where's Cam Cameron? Don't you want to see him when the summer's over? Belly goes, maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. Not sure. Jer then picks up the TV remote and puts the TV on mute, looks her in the eye and says, I don't think he's the guy for you. He then says, Belly? He pauses, takes a very deep breath. Belly's like trying to intervene and like say something because she's like, what is going on? What's happening? And he literally stops her. He's like, no, like I need to say this. Jared goes on saying, you've always been my best friend, but now it's more. I see you as more than that. You're the coolest girl I know and you've always been there for me. And I know I haven't always been there for you, but I can count on you and you can count on me. And Belly's just nodding her head like she knows that he is speaking, but she's really not hearing what he's saying because her thoughts are just running rampant right now. She's like, what the heck is going on? Oh, no, like what is happening? Jared's still talking. He says, I know you've always liked Conrad, but you're over him now, right? You told me that you're over him. Belly, now sensing that it's her turn to speak, is like, I don't know, I'm not sure. Jared's like, but why? He doesn't see you the way that I see you, Belly. Belly's like, I know that and I wish I didn't feel this way, but I do still like him. She goes on saying. Jared very sternly says he's only going to hurt you. Belly is now profusely apologizing, saying, please don't be mad at me. Please don't be mad at me. And Jared stops her saying, I'm not mad at you, but why does it always have to be Conrad? And with that, Jeremiah gets up and he goes to bed. Guys, I think we should break up this very awkward moment and I think we should have a flashback. So let's go to age 12 and let's move past this awkward time. Mr. Fisher was actually here this summer and he decided that he was going to take the boys on an overnight fishing trip, but Jeremiah actually couldn't go because he was sick. So during this time, Belly chose to hang out with him. Jeremiah looks at Belly and says, my dad has always liked Conrad more than me. Conrad tries to be whatever my dad wants him to be. I don't even think Conrad likes football. He just happens to be good at everything. And one day, I'm gonna be better than him at something. I would make a mental note of this discussion. I would make a mental note of the discussion for future books. Thank you. We are now back in present day. Everyone buckle up, get ready, because we are about to have another very intense, potentially awkward moment. Conrad is running on the beach. The night before, Jeremiah had just laid his heart out to Belly and Belly thinks she needs to do the same exact thing and she needs to find out how Conrad feels. And so the best way she could think about doing this was to find him while he's on a run on the beach. She just blurts out, I have loved you since I was 10 years old. You are the only boy I have ever loved. I love you. It's you. And it's silent. There, you could literally hear a pin drop, not a sound is being made. I don't even think our boy Conrad is breathing. I don't think he has taken a single breath. Conrad finally decides to speak. He says, well, you shouldn't. I'm not the one. Sorry. Belly fights back saying, I don't believe you. You like me. I know you do. Conrad goes, not the way you think I do. You're just a kid, Belly. I'm not a kid anymore. You just wish I was so you wouldn't have to deal with this. You like me. Admit it. Admit it. Conrad is like, you're crazy. And he tries to walk away from her. But Belly is determined. And so she reaches out and she grabs his sleeve, stopping him. And she says, admit it. You were mad when I started hanging out with Cam this summer. Conrad looks at her and goes, the world does not revolve around you, Belly. Yeah, I know, because the world revolves around you, Conrad. Conrad's like, you don't know what you're even talking about, Belly. Yeah, I do. You just want to keep me on the hook. As soon as I start getting over you, you reel me back in. Belly continues on saying, this is it. You don't get to have me anymore. Not as a friend, not as an admirer. I'm done. Conrad snaps her saying, what do you want from me? You have a little boyfriend, remember? Belly shaking her head saying, it's not like that. Conrad's like, yes, it is. 1 minute you like me, 1 minute you like Cam, 1 minute you like Jer. You want your cake and you want to eat it too, but you also want ice cream and you also want cookies. You want it all. Belly is now screaming at Conrad to be quiet. Conrad doesn't stop. He's like, no, Belly, you are the one playing games, not me. And then we get a little messier. We do, because Belly goes, no, I'm not. You're the one playing games. Your parents are getting divorced, so what? And Conrad then very aggressively tells her to be quiet. Because as I said earlier, she thinks the problem at the beach house this year is that they're getting a divorce. That's what she thinks the main issue is. But Belly really doesn't take the hint. She keeps on going and running with this theory that she has. Belly says, your mom was crying over you the other day. Do you even care? Like, do you even know how selfish you are being? Conrad gets real close to her and Belly is just sobbing. And this is when Jeremiah has finally made it to the scene. Conrad looks at Jeremiah and says, get away from her. Get away from her. And Jeremiah is like, you need to start dealing with this instead of taking it out on everyone else. You're being a jerk right now. So quit taking your anger out on everyone else. And Conrad is screaming, leave me alone. Jared's like, we have been leaving you alone all summer. You're supposed to be the older brother, not me. Conrad is like, get out of my face. And Jared goes, no, you're just like dad. And this is the very moment that Belly realizes this fight is actually not about Belly. It's about something much bigger. Much bigger and more important. And I would just like y'all to know that instead of screaming, we are now having a full-on brawl at the beach. It's a beach brawl. And then Susanna runs out of the house. She sees that this is happening and she is making her way down to the beach to stop this madness. And as soon as she breaks it up, she looks at them and she goes, You know, don't you? Laurel quickly grabs Belly's hand and says, we need to go inside, we're gonna go inside, we're gonna give them some alone time. As soon as they make it back inside, Laurel is still holding Belly and she tells Belly that Susanna is sick again and that it is much more aggressive than it was last time. The night of the fight, Belly knocks on Jared's door and she goes into his room and she's profusely apologizing to him, telling him she wished that she knew, she wished that she knew. And she tells him to scoot over and she ends up spending the night in his room. And this is not in a romantic way at all. This is in a, I am so sorry for what we have gone through. I just want to spend the night in your room like when we were kids kind of way. The next morning, she starts to head back to her room and who does she run into on her little walk back to her room? Conrad. In fact, he goes, well, good morning, Belly. She doesn't say anything, but Conrad goes on saying, well, aren't you supposed to be nice to me now? Like the way you were with Jared last night. And Belly was going to defend herself, saying that all her and Jared did was cry. But she looks at Conrad and she says, you are the most selfish person I have ever met, and I can't believe I ever loved you. Conrad turns white as a ghost, and he doesn't say anything. Belly stays in bed for a while. Laurel makes her way in there and she tells Belly, we need to be strong. We need to be strong for Susanna because she's gonna need us and she's gonna need you, Belly. Belly's nodding her head saying, I can do that, I can do that. I can't believe Mr. Fisher isn't here. Laurel pauses and says, this is what Susanna wants. And Adam, which is Mr. Fisher's first name, by the way, is who he is, and we don't get to decide. Not this time. Susanna's downstairs in the kitchen and she's making some muffins. Belly tells her good morning. She's trying not to make it awkward. Susanna stops what she's doing for a hot second, looks at her and goes, are you mad at me too? Belly goes over to her, hugs her and says, I could never be mad at you. Susanna looks Belly in the eyes and goes, you'll look after him, right? Who? Belly responds, you know who. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Again. Belly shakes her head saying, yes, yes I will. Good, Susanna says, because he needs you. And Belly makes Susanna promise that Susanna will never leave her. And after Susanna promises, Belly helps her make the muffins. Susanna tells Belly, make sure you send pictures of your upcoming dance. I have to see the dress. And Belly's like, of course, I love the dress that you bought me so much. Susanna's like, what on earth are you talking about? I didn't buy you that dress. Belly says, of course you did. It's the one that you and Mom fought over last time I was here and you snuck it into my suitcase so she wouldn't know. Belly, I didn't buy you that dress. Your mother must have bought that one for you. And that is definitely something your mother would do. This also happened in the show, but this was over her debutante dress, which the debutante isn't even a thing in the books. So very similar scene, but no debutante in the book. Later on, Belly is on the beach and she sees Conrad sitting, so she decides to join him. Belly starts saying, I am so sorry, but Conrad interrupts her and says, no, please stop talking. Belly, thinking that he's still so incredibly mad at her, starts to get up and Conrad says, please don't leave. I am so mad at her right now. And this is the moment where Conrad finally lets all of his built up emotions out and he breaks down and starts crying to Belly. And Belly decides this is the moment. This is the moment. And so she reaches out, she cups Conrad's face and she kisses him and he kisses her back. Conrad pulls away and he says, I'm so sorry. I can't do this. Not like this. You know that I think about you. I know that you know, but I just can't right now. Can you just be here with me? It started to rain. Neither of them moved and everything in the world felt really far away and it was just them on the beach. It is the end of summer. Cam has called 2 times and she hasn't answered because she doesn't know what to say to him because clearly she is still in love with Conrad. And on the plus side, her relationship with Jared is a whole lot easier now because Jared decided to let her off the hook. And the two of them have just pretended that his little admission of his feelings never happened. It is now the last day before they leave the beach house and it's cleanup day. So that night for dinner, they eat every single thing that is in the fridge. They use up the ingredients that they bought. They take out all the leftovers. So there's pizza, Chinese food, lasagna, soup, everything like that. And they just finish it all off. So they're just having a big old feast. And this is what they always do. And during this dinner, Conrad keeps sneaking looks to Belly. Susanna looks at all of them and she says, I've decided to take the medicine this time. I'm going to fight this thing. After dinner, they all go their separate ways. Belly leaves a note for both Jer and Conrad to meet her for a midnight swim. And the boys join her. They all go for a little swim. Conrad and Belly actually have a very small moment where she comes out of the water and her bangs are in her face. And so he pushes the bangs out of her face. And Jer notices this. Jer sees this. And then they all start reciting Susanna's favorite poem together. Belly tells him this might be their last summer here. Jer says, no way. And Conrad says, it doesn't matter what happens because we will always come back here. And now we're at the end of our book. You might recall some of this from the beginning of the book, but now let's see the whole scene in action. Summer is completely over. It's a little chilly outside and she gets a call and she barely recognizes his voice. The boy says, I'm in my car. Can I come and see you? And it is 12:20 in the morning and Boston is a 5 5-hour car ride. I know in the beginning of this video I said it was like 1 to 2 hours. No. It is a 5-hour car ride from where this boy is to where Belly is. This boy drove all night to see her. Belly told him to go park the car down the road so that no one sees it. She quietly makes her way to the car and she whispers, "Hey, you're not wearing a coat," he tells her. Belly responds with, "It's not even that cold." "Here," he says as he's taking off his jacket. She puts it on and it smells just like him. Like Conrad. He starts the car and she shakes her head going, "I can't believe you're here." "Me neither," Conrad says shyly. "Are you still going with me?" And she says yes. And everything that happened this past summer and every summer before has led to this. To right now. As that is the end of the first book in the Summer I Turned Pretty series by Jenny Han. Book 2 will be coming your way really soon, so please get excited. And just thank y'all so much for watching it, especially if you made it to the very end. If y'all enjoyed this video, hit the like button. And also let me know down below what other books y'all would like me to do. I have a few ideas. I'm thinking maybe Fourth Wing. I could do Throne of Glass. There's Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I could do some like romance series if that's what y'all are after. There's Chestnut Springs. There's options. The options are limitless. Let me know what y'all want down below. I love y'all and I'll see y'all soon.